we select a person for a job, right? How a person is selected for a particular job. So what is the process? What is the steps involved in selecting the person for a job, right? So we know staffing is like something we say, like it is selecting the best man for the best job, right man for the right job, right? So first step, first thing, what we have to do is we need to analyze about the job. Okay? We need to study about the job to which we need a person. Okay? You know, only after understanding the job we can understand who will be the best suited for the job. The first step in matching a person with a job is analyzing the job itself. Okay? Just identify what the job is, right? Analyze the job. So that is job analysis. So every job will have a requirement. Okay? Every job will have certain requirements to which the workers must meet. Okay? That is, every job will have a certain demands which we must be able to meet. Right? Some maybe it might be physical. Okay? It might be mental. So mentally, we have to act. Psychologically, we might be able to. We should be able to cope with that. Right? In, we see in the town and all, right? The loading and unloading. Because they should be physically, they should be able to do it, right? The baggages, the two baggages, they should be able to carry it up. So they should be physically fit. Okay, mathematics professor should be well versed in the subject, right? He should be he must understand what the subject is. So every job will have a certain requirement. Okay, and job analysis is the study of these requirements. Okay, what do you mean by job analysis? Job analysis means we are studying these requirements. What are the requirements for a particular job? So for a loading and unloading worker, you should be physically should be able to do it, right? Right? A mathematics professor should be well versed in the mathematics theory. Okay, he should in a particular whichever is the area which he has specialized, he must be very well versed in that particular area, right? Then uh, job analysis is a study of these requirements and the factors which influence the requirements also. Okay, we are not only considering the requirements, but we are also considering the factors which influence the requirements also, right? We are not only bothered by the requirement, but also what are the factors. Okay, say for example, engineer, a site engineer. Okay? A site engineer, he should be, what is the requirement? He should be having a BTech degree. But what does it mean? Right? It means that he should be well versed in dealing in the requirements of site. That is, he should be able to speak with the uh, laborers, right? We should be able to communicate with them. So we can say requirement is that the site engineer should know Hindi. Okay, that becomes a requirement. Okay, whenever suppose you are having a construction company, you are going to appoint a new engineer, so he should be able to communicate in Hindi. That you can keep it as a requirement. And why did such a requirement come up? Because most of your laborers are from North India. They might be knowing only their language, Hindi, right? So it's our duty of the site. The site engineer is the one who has to explain the job to them. Okay, yes, he's the one who has to explain the job to him. So he must be able to communicate to them. Okay, rather than them learning his language, we should be able to learn their language. So we can say Hindi becomes a requirement for a site engineer, right? So the requirement site engineer, and what is the factor? Factor is that the person is or the laborers are from North India. So that's the job analysis study of these requirements and the factors which influence the requirements. Right? Understood? What is requirement and what are the factors of the requirement? So it's used to identify the qualities which a worker must have to do the job. Okay? What and all are the qualities? Okay? So job analysis concentrates on first one is performance standards. Okay? Performance standards here find the expected outcome in terms of both quality and quantity. Okay? So it will depend upon the job. You cannot say always in terms of quantity. Okay? Sometimes it will be in terms of quality also we have to measure, right? Like yesterday we said, for a painter, okay, so for a painter, for creating a masterpiece, he might take 2 years, okay. So we cannot say that he has taken 2 years and he has given out one this single painting, right? We cannot do that, but we have to consider the quality of his work. Let's say within 2 years I could have printed out thousands of papers, right? That's another thing. So we have to consider the quality and quantity differently. So performance standards means we have to find the expected quality, expected output, okay, in terms of both quality and quantity. What is the job? So are we interested in quality? Are we interested in quantity? Or are we interested in both? So three scenarios will be there, three cases will be there, and the three cases will be have to be dealt differently, right? The second one is work activities. So identify what task must be accomplished. Okay? So what and all other works which has to be completed. Say for a your car, make you're making a any recipe. You're making cake, so you have to buy the product. You have to follow the recipe. You have to bake it some for some time. And then you have to follow the recipe, and then you will get the final output. So what and all the tasks you have to do. So work activities. Identify what and all tasks has to be accomplished. Right. Third one is technologies. So make note of the technologies. Okay, you know daily new and new technologies are coming forth, so we should be open to that. Okay, we should have an idea of that something new is coming. Okay, so earlier you might have done basic civil engineering class, right? You might have measured the with a chain and tape. Normally, what we do, like even if now your homes will be chain or tape, you'll have a cross stuff, you'll do the measurements, right? But now you can see more and more improvements have come about. You might have seen in the roadside and all, people with rotor station, a little bit taking the readings. Okay. So it has come again. It has moved forward, and now it has moved forward even to like GPS. Right? We are carrying the GPS console, and we are taking the readings. Okay? We are seeing DGPS, differential GPS. Uh, so many things are coming out. So we should be open to what the work technologies are. Right? Take note of the technologies. Yeah. The context, the job context. That is identification of work conditions. Where are we working? Okay. So different work conditions will give us different outputs. Right? We need to be sure about that. Work conditions. Then work schedules. So again, schedules has to be seriously looked into, because schedule will also determine, because the schedule is very tight. Okay? Workers will be under more pressure, so they may not be able to cope with that pressure. So if you are having a job which requires more pressure, like you'll be working in very short term, for short term works are be done. That is, the schedule is very tight, and you are appointing some person. You must also take care that while you are choosing that person, he is able to cope with that. He is able to cope with the schedule. Okay? Maybe sometimes he might be have to work for 12 hours or 14 hours. So whether he is ready to work like that. Okay, the social conditions. Okay, maybe what will happen is normally in site engineers, okay, the owners will prefer gents. Okay, rather than ladies, they will prefer the changes are happening, but it's in a very slow pace. But they will prefer gents. Okay, boys, because they have to work late. Right? That is social condition. So if it's a lady stuff, then the special arrangement has to be made for taking them home. All these things have to be considered. So rather than the contractor will prefer male stuff. So because he can work late and he will sleep somewhere there only. Okay? There's no security issues for him. So social conditions are also to be identified. Then the compensation. How we see being compensated, whether we are paying him extra for the overtime, right? If we're doing extra time, whether we are paying him or whether we are going to promote him, right? What is the compensation which is being given, or rather than end of the we pay him a bonus. What is that compensation? That has also to be looked into. What can we do? Then the personal requirement. So identify the required skills, education, experience, and other attributes related required for the job. That is matching person with the job. So now, what is the person? What is the requirements, right? what is his education qualification, what is his experience, what is his skill, right? Whether he has got some training, some other. So who he is there, whether he is, I need a coder, I need a programmer. So what are the languages he knows, right? How many what is his experience, how many works he has done, so whether he has undergone any special training. So all these things has to be taken into consideration. Okay. So maybe for a site engineer, what will happen is a new fresher who has just passed out can be taken, right? It can work effectively. But for a project manager, okay, project manager, he needs experience, right? So it will take some time. Clear? That's it. Job analysis. The first step in matching a person with the job is job analysis. What is job analysis? Job analysis means it's the study of the requirements of the job and the factors which influences the requirements. So every single job will have a certain requirements. Okay, every single job will have requirements which the workers must comply to, right? So job analysis means we are studying about the requirements and what are the factors that affect this or influence this requirements. These two things are studied in job analysis. Like for a site engineer, you can say he must know Hindi, right? He must know Hindi. So it's a requirement. And why did such a requirement come forth? Because most of our laborers are from North India, right? So that becomes the reason for the requirement, right? So in job analysis, we'll be studying about the requirement and why did such a requirement come forth. Both these things are taken into consideration. Okay. So with that, what can be done? We can see that okay, this job requires a person who knows Hindi. Okay, because our workers are from North India, we need a person who knows in Hindi. So it gives us a means to identify the qualities which a worker must have to do the job. So a site engineer should know Hindi. So that becomes one of our qualities for our work. Okay, so most of our, see, it will be different for different companies. So some other companies, the workers might be from local workers will be there. Okay, so there, the Hindi requirement may not come into play. But in my company, my laborers are from North India, so I have a requirement of Hindi speaking engineer, right? That will depend upon my company. So my uh, workers are speaking most of the Hindi speakers. So I need a person who can comply, who can communicate with them in Hindi. So that becomes my one of the quality which I need, right? So what are the factors on which job analysis constantly? One is the performance standards. What is the output which I expect? Okay? So it can be in terms of quantity and quality. Okay, it's not either or. Okay, can be in terms of quality, can be in terms of quantity also. So according to my work, what is it? Okay? So sometimes it might be quantity, in some jobs it might be quality, and sometimes it will be both. Okay, things like the Rolls Royce and all cars. So these cars, they are handmade. They are of very high quality. Each stitch is made by hand, so it will take a lot of time. Okay, that will increase the cost also. That's another thing. That will take a lot of time, but the quality is very high. But the quantity is just one or two. Okay, in the same time, a mass production vehicles can be produced in numbers of hundreds of thousands. Right? So that will depend. Both of them are producing cars itself, but one is concentrated on quality, other one is concentrated on quantity. Yes, the quality assurance will be there, but here only quality is taken into consideration. Number is not considered, right? The second one is what are the activities, work activities, what are the tasks to be completed. Okay, so what they do is we will divide the work into different tasks, and what is the task required for completing each of them. So we'll like we play video game like level 1, level 2, level 3. Each level when we complete, we are moving closer to the completion, right? Similarly, as we complete each task, we will be completing the work itself. Then technologies. So we have to be open to what are the technologies available. Take note of the technologies, right? Then what is the context? Identification of the work conduct, identification of the working conditions, work schedules, social conditions, and compensations, right? So what are the social conditions over there? What is the work schedule? Whether we are having a tight schedule. But sometimes conditions in work will be carried out in some forest area. Okay, you might be working in a forest area. What is the conditions over there. Okay, all these things has to be considered. And what is the compensation? Okay, salary plus what? These things are also looking into while we are doing job analysis. Right? Then personal requirements. We know what and all are required. So identify the required skills, education, experience, training, and other attributes which are required for the job. Okay? That will change from job to job, company to company. Right? Clear? So this is the first step in uh, matching person with the job. Okay. Now the second step is selection. So we have studied about the job. We know everything about the job. What is required of the job? We know. Right? Now second step is selection. So selection is the process of choosing most suitable person for the current position or future position from among candidates from within the organization or from outside the organization. Okay. So what we do here is in selection is the process of choosing the most suitable person for the current position. Okay. Current position or the position or future positions. So maybe I have a requirement right now, or I am foreseeing that I'll have a requirement in the near future. Like say I'm having a restaurant, so I'm thinking about expanding the menu. So I'm gonna introduce Arabic dishes, right? So I will have a requirement of Arabic cook, who is well versed in Arabic cuisine, a cook in or chef in Arabic cuisine. So sometimes what will happen, I'll be deciding, okay, within next week itself, I'll start. Okay, we'll be introducing the cuisine. Sometimes, so that becomes my immediate requirement. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take some time. Okay, I'll take like maybe after 6 months. Okay, after 6 months or 1 year, I'll have a position like that. Okay, I'll have that menu also. So that becomes my future requirement. Okay, so here, so selection means the process of choosing the most suitable person for either the current position or for future positions. Okay, from among the candidates, okay, from within the organization or outside the organization. Okay, so it will be I'll be having within the organization or from outside the organization. Right? Sometimes what they have same chefs. So I am already having chefs in my restaurant. So I'll ask them. Okay, I can say, are you guys anyone is familiar with this Arabic cuisine? Okay. If yes is the case, then I can ask him, take him into the as a Arabic cuisine. Okay. I can release him other works and I will give him that charge. So that from within the organization. If nobody is there, then I have to take someone from the outside. Okay. So selection is the process of choosing the most suitable person for the current position or for future positions from among the candidates from within the organization or from outside. Okay. Both. So what is the process? Selection means I am selecting the three things have been done. One is I'm selecting the best suitable or best person for the job. Right? Second one, job might be current or future requirement. It may be current requirement, it may be future requirement. And three, the person may be from my own company or own organization or from outside. Right? These are the three things in selection. So the it is the process of picking the best suited person for the organization requirement. So what is the best suited person? Sometimes what will happen is I have a cook who is well versed in Arabic cuisine. Okay, but what is the problem is he is also in charge of some other cuisine, maybe North Indian food. Okay, North Indian food also he is in charge. So I cannot give him extra job. Okay, I cannot. So if I give him the Arabic cuisine, now I have to choose a person for. I have to search for a person who is uh, well versed in North Indian cuisine. Okay, that becomes again a problem. So it is the process of picking the best suited person for the organization requirement. So what is my requirement? According to that, I am choosing the best person. Okay. So when we say we are selecting the person, we are also rejecting the person. So the selection essentially becomes whenever we are selecting someone, we are also rejecting. So selection process involves rejection of unsuitable applicants. Right? So recruitment process precedes selection. So recruitment means we are making a situation that people will apply for the job in my company. We are making sure that people know that there's a requirement and people are applying for the job. Okay? People should apply. If they know there's a requirement, then they should apply for the job also. So selection, see, sorry, or recruit after recruitment, we will be doing selection. Now, what are the selection process? The first one is consists of the selection process consists of the following steps. The first one is obtaining job description and job specification. Okay, so we have done the job analysis. Okay, we have the results. Okay, that will give you the job specification and job description. So the first step of selection process is to develop job description for the position to be filled. Okay, so what is my position? Okay, so I have done my job analysis, right? So I know what is the requirement. So say for example, we are taking a site engineer, right? A site engineer is being taken. What is the job description of that? What is he supposed to do? So job description includes determination of the job title, department in which the job exists, works to be performed, etc. Okay, so any selection process, the first step is we need to get the developer job description. Okay, job description is from the we can get it from the job analysis, right? So what is this job description include? It includes what is the title. Okay, so I need a site engineer, maybe a junior site engineer or a senior site engineer, right? So what is the department in the, okay? If my company is having multiple works, maybe I'll be having construction of buildings. Okay, Thailand buildings I will be having. Okay, maybe I will be having for road. Maybe for my company specializes in road, right? Or in harbor. So whatever department I have, where is the requirement there? Okay, and works to be performed, etc. So what are the works are to be performed by him, right? So whether it's a easier requirement is a of a junior site engineer or a senior site engineer, that will depend, right? The next thing is job specification. Job specification provides basis for the assessment of the candidate. Now, I need a see according to my description, I need a senior site engineer, right? So I'll make the specifications that I'll have that he should have minimum experience of 2 years or 3 years. 3 experiences must. If it is a junior site engineer, I'll go for freshers. Okay? Even if freshers are coming, no problem. That will depend upon my job. Okay? So suppose I have to give him independent charge. So I need someone who is having a little, at least a little bit of experience. Okay, so he'll be alone in the field. So without any experience, he might not be able to work properly. So I'll say I need a person with a 2 year experience or 3 year experience. Okay, if that is not the case, I'll say I'll go for freshers also. Right, that will depend on the job description. Okay, so those specifications means they gives me basis for the assessment of uh, that gives me a basis for the assessment of the candidate. Okay? It helps to distinguish between essential and desirable requirements for a job. Okay? So what happens is in this case is I'll be having certain essential requirements. Okay, so he must have a, so according to my job analysis, he must know, he must be basically he must be a BTech in civil engineering. He must be a civil engineer, right? He must have BTech degree. Then sometimes what will be happening, he needs know in certain language, like say for example Hindi. So these are my essential requirements. Okay. Sometimes what will happen is there will be certain desirable requirements. That is, the person is staying nearby. If his house is nearby, he can come to the site whenever it is needed. Okay. So if suppose I am having 10 persons, so 10 candidates, and if a candidate is very close to the my site, maybe within a 2 or 3 kilometers. Okay, so that is a desirable quality. Okay, other than a candidate who is far from, like coming from 10 or 15 kilometers, if I have a candidate who meets the requirements, yeah, he has the degree, he has the experience, he has the whatever specifications I have, if he meets the requirement, so his closeness to the his site becomes added advantage for me. So it becomes a desirable requirement. Okay, it helps to distinguish between essential and desirable. Okay. So closeness to my site will be a desirable requirement, but it is not an essential requirement. Okay, I cannot expect that all my employees should be very close to my site itself. That is not possible. Okay, that's the desirable requirement. So I can identify what are the essential requirements and what are the desirable requirements, right? So based on job specification and job description, and this can be obtained from job analysis. Next up is application form. Okay, so next application form. So application form means it's the universal mechanism to screen the applicants to be called for the interview. Okay, so uh, normally what we have is we'll be sending out our resumes. Okay, or sometimes what will have is they will have their own application form. Right, when you are applying for your BTech or engineering colleges, you have to fill an application form. Right. Similarly, you will have to fill an application form in certain companies. Certain companies will be only asking for your resume. That will depend. So if application forms are asked, that will help them to screen the candidates. Okay, easily they can cut short the number of applicants. So suppose what will happen is there are more number of applicants are applying for a job, they will go for a application form. So by studying the application form itself, they can identify most suitable candidates. Okay. So rather than interviewing all the 1,000 applicants by having an applicant fill the application forms, they can easily reduce the numbers. Okay. So it is used to get information like what is your education, your training, your experience, your age, your marital status, etc. Okay. What are your requirements? So I know what are my requirements. I've done my job analysis. I've prepared my job specification and description. So I know what are my requirements. So are the applicants suited for my job? So I can easily compare to it. Okay. Also, this conditions can discourage unsuitable applicants. Right? So certain condition. So your CGPA, your work experience 3 years or more. Yes, no. So if I don't have the particular thing, then I cannot fill it. So the applicants will also they will leave also. Okay. So again that will help in cut shorting the numbers, right? So if it is not the case, I will have to call the applicant, I have to interview him. Then while the interview only, I'll be looking into details. So it will also help me cut short the numbers. Okay. So in your application form, the next is test. Okay. Test will be for your aptitude, your trade test, your psychological test, etc. Okay. It is used to measure the different abilities of the applicants. So rather than you saying I have done a course in say some software, okay, maybe AutoCAD. I have done a course in my AutoCAD. I am well versed in the AutoCAD. So rather than taking your word for that, what the company will do, they'll give you a laptop and a mouse and ask you to draw certain plan. Okay? Anything certain figure, they will ask you to draw the plan and they will observe how we are doing it. Okay, how you are coder, they'll give you a simple program and ask to write a code for it. Okay, and they will observe how you are doing it, what is the speed, what is the efficiency level, and based on that test, that is they will assess you. That's the trade test. Psychology test, how your mental status are. Okay? Are you suited for the job? Right? So we say for astronauts and all, they will be having they have taught about numerous psychological tests. Okay, because they are alone, they will be in space alone with no means of communication, like a standard situation. They have to be properly assessed. Okay, then your aptitude, your level of knowledge, your knowledge level will be also tested. Okay, then comes interview. So interview means so then after you see the case how it is developed. First, I have done job analysis. So on my part, I know what I am looking for in a candidate. Okay, from that I'll prepare my job description and job specifications. Okay, and then I'll send out the application forms. And based on the application form, I'll take only the most suitable candidates. Okay, then if my job demand, they will be has to go to the test. Okay, they will have to do test. They have to do aptitude test. They have to do the psychology test. They have to undergo the trade test and all. Okay, after that, then only the interview comes. Like your GD, your like this. So in what is an interview? Interview is basically a conversation. Okay, two person. Okay, an applicant and the interviewer. Okay, so what you have to understand is normally we say it is a two-person interview. One person will be asking to another, but sometimes what will be happen is we'll be having a panel. Okay, for three or four or five persons will sit together and they'll question you. They'll each one will be an expert and they will ask you a question. Okay, so that may also be happening. So nowadays, what is in we are having interview via phone, right? By Skype call or Google Meet or Hangout or something. We are having calls interview by online medium also, right? So we will be having an interview. So in interview, the interviewer ask questions to applicants on various topics and judge their suitability and ability. So there, an interview is not only testing your knowledge, but how you present them. Right? What is your passion? So what is the level of level? All these things will be assessed. Right? Not only your knowledge, but all other things. How well do you work? Okay, what kind of a behavior do you have? Okay, in very short time, they have to judge all these things. Right? There, and make sure of their suitability and ability. Right? Then they have to do. We have to undergo physical examination. Okay? Physical examination. Again, medical examinations are conducted to identify any disabilities in applicants which may hinder his working. Right? So, my physical examination means we have to do medically. Okay? They will be doing medical tests whether you have any disorders. Like, are you properly healthy for that particular job? Okay. Sometimes or they can you do something. So like for police test and all. Okay, you have physical exams. So you have to run this much meter this particular time. Okay, you have to do this much numbers of pull-ups. Or you have to do push-ups. Like they will have a standard. Okay, if you are you able to meet that? Okay, maybe your height and weight will be also measured. That will depend upon the job. Not all jobs, but certain jobs has to be taken. Right? Then comes induction and orientation. Okay. So induction means it gives the introduction to the company. Okay. So, so an employee has passed all the things and he has been selected. Okay. This is the introduction of an employee to the job and the organization. So he has to now he has been selected. So he knows he has to work as a programmer. Now what is being expected of him? Okay. What and all he has to do. All these things will be explained to him. Introduction will be given about the job he has to do and about the organization. Right? It gives necessary information about the organization to the employee and develop relationship between the newcomers and the old employees. Okay? So what will happen is a new employee will be a little bit of reserved. Okay? He don't know anyone. Yeah, similar way you came into your BTech. Okay? When you came into your BTech class, you knew no one, right? So you were reserved. So slowly we started getting known to your making friendship, making relationship, and you grow. Same way in a company, we don't have that time. Okay? So the manager will introduce him to the other employees, and this person is your boss. He will be overseeing you. If you have any doubt, you can go to that person. An introduction, a formal introduction will be done, and the next level of relationship has to be formed by the employee itself. Right? So these are the steps. Right? So how do you? So if a question comes, write a note on matching the persons with the job. What are the steps? The first step is job analysis. So we need to study about the job itself, identify what is the requirements of the job and what are the factors influencing the requirements. After that, it's been identified. We need to look into what and what has like the performance standard, requirements of the personal requirements, the note of the technologies. Okay, all these things has to be work schedules. All these things has to be considered. Okay, and based on that, we'll prepare a job analysis, job description, and job specification. Okay, and based on that, we'll be selecting an employee. And what do you mean by selection? So selection means the process of choosing the most suitable applicant for the current position or for future positions. Okay, I may be taking right now and train him for future works. That is also possible. Okay, you can join now, but your work will start after 2 months. But you have to be prepared for that job. Okay, current or future position from candidates within my company or from outside the company. Okay, is best suited for the job. So that is selection. So what happens in selection process? The first thing is um, we have to obtain the job description, job specification again from job analysis. Then we have to we'll create the we will give out the application form. So application form again it acts as a screening mechanism. Okay, it helps to weed out unsuitable candidates. Okay, because when they have to fill the form itself, they know they are not apt for the job. Okay, they don't have the requirement, they don't meet the requirements, so they can weed out themselves, right? Then after application also filled, the employees will be first, or the candidates will be subjected to certain test. The test may be aptitude test will be there, it may be trade test, or it may be psychological test. So trade test means, so if you are applying for a software developer or a going that you know a particular language, you are well versed in Python, so you will be given a program in Python, some work in Python, and you have to show the result. Okay? They will be not only judging your result, but how did you do that. Okay? That's what we mean by trade test. Okay. Then there is interview. So interview means it's a conversation. Okay. Basically, it's a conversation between an applicant and an interviewer. So interviewer may be one or many. Okay. It may be in person or it may be on phone. Okay. Interviewer may be in America and you may be sitting in your home. So that way, so what does the interviewer do? He will judge your suitability and ability. Right. Then you have to undergo a physical examination. Okay. After you have passed the physical uh, examination, that shows you don't have any issues, problem with which may hinder you doing the job, then you will be selected and you will be inducted and oriented. Okay. Orientation means you are given an idea about. You had orientation classes in while you started BTech, right? You'll be given idea what are the companies, what is happening, who has to answer to whom, right? All these things will be known, right? So we'll stop here, right? Please let me know if you have any doubts, or else we move on to attendance, right?